Welcome. Have you ever been in the middle of stress and tried to relax, but your mind just won't cooperate? You know you should take a deep breath, think positive, or even meditate, but nothing works. What no one tells you is that your mind isn't the best remote control to calm stress, but your body is. And today I'm going to reveal to you a simple, scientific, and super effective technique that you can do in seconds to lower your anxiety instantly. Stay until the end, because this can change the way you handle stress forever. I think most people have heard that meditation and prevention are good. Exercise is good for us. We all need to get enough sleep, etc. But life happens. When we're very alert or very sleepy, it's very hard to use these mechanisms of intention and gratitude. But it's very clear that the physiological chair is the quickest and hardest way to eliminate the stress response in our body quickly, in real time. And it turns out that you all do it all the time, but you do it involuntarily. And when you stress, you're apt to forget that you can also activate these systems voluntarily. This is an extremely powerful set of techniques that we know from scientific studies that are being done in my lab, in Jack Feldman's lab at UCLA and others, that are very, very helpful in reducing your stress response in real time. And here's how they work. As far as I'm aware, the best tools for reducing stress quickly, the so-called real-time tools, are going to be tools that have a direct line to the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is a name given to the general alerting or calming characteristics in the body. It typically means automatic, although we have some control over at certain entry points or points of entry. And the tool that, at least to my knowledge, is the quickest and most deeply grounded in physiology and neuroscience for calming down in a direct way is what's called the physiological nap. These days, there seems to be a lot of interest in breath work. Breath work is typically when you go and sit or rest and deliberately breathe in a particular way for a number of minutes to change your physiology, access some states. And it has some utility that we're going to talk about. Now, that's not what I'm talking about now. What I'm talking about when I refer to physiological sighs is the relationship between the brain, the body, and the heart. Let's take the hallmark of the stress response. The heart starts beating faster. Blood rushes to the large muscles of the body to move you from whatever the stress is, or just making you feel like you have to move or talk. Your face slides, etc. The heart rate, many of us feel, is involuntary. It only works whether or not we're moving fast or slow. If you think about it, it's not really autonomic because you can speed up your heart rate through running or you can slide it through sliding, but that's indirect control. However, there is a way that you can breathe that directly controls your heart rate through interactions between the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic system. Here's how it works. When you breathe, no matter if it's through your nose or your mouth, the skeletal muscle that's inside your body, called the diaphragm, slides. And that's because the wings expand and the diaphragm slides. Your heart gets a little bit bigger in that expanded space. There's more room for the heart, and as a consequence, any blood there's now in a lower volume, and it's moving a little bit more slowly in that larger volume than it was before you breathed. More room. The heart gets bigger, the blood moves more slowly, and there's a little group of neurons called the sinoatrial node in the heart that registers. Believe it or not, those neurons. Pay attention to the rate of blood flow to the heart and sends a signal up the brain that the blood is moving more slowly through the heart. The brain then sends a signal back to the heart to speed up the heart rate. What this means is that if you want your heart to spin faster, you inhale more vigorously than your exhales. Now, there are a variety of ways that one can do that, but it doesn't matter if it's through the nose or through the mouth. If your inhalations are longer than your exhalations, you're speeding up your heart. Now, the opposite is also true. If you want to speed up the heart rate, so the stress response turns on, you want to speed up the heart rate. What you want to do is, again, capitalize on this relationship between the body, namely the diaphragm and the heart and the brain. Here's how it works. When you exhale, the diaphragm moves up, which makes the heart a little bit smaller. It actually becomes a little bit more compact. Blood flows more quickly through that compact space, as if it were a tube that became smaller. The sinoatrial node registers that the blood is going faster. It sends a signal up to the brain and the parasympathetic nervous system, the neurons in your brain, sends a signal up to the heart to speed up the heart. So, if you want to calm down quickly, you have to make your exhalations longer or more vigorous than your inhalations. Now, the reason this is so attractive as a stress management tool is that it works in real time. This doesn't involve an exercise where you have to go and sit down and do something separate from life. And we're going to get to emotions. Emotions and stress happen in real time. And so, while it's wonderful to have a breathing exercise or to have the opportunity to have a massage or sit in a sauna or do whatever you do to get your stress controls in the right direction, to have tools that you can reach out to in real time that don't require learning. I mean, I had to teach you. I had to learn that. But it doesn't require any plasticity to activate these steps. So, if you're feeling stressed, you still have to inhale, of course, but you have to extend your exhalations. Now, there's a tool that capitalizes on this in a unique way, in a kind of feedback way, which is SI. Physiological SI was discovered in the 30s. Now it's been explored at a neurobiological and mechanistic level in much more detail by Jack Feldman's lab at UCLA. Also Mark Krasno's lab at Stanford. And physiological SI is something that humans and animals do when they're about to sleep. You also do it during sleep from time to time when carbon dioxide, which we'll talk about in a moment, builds up too much in your system. And physiological SI is something that people naturally start to do when they're crying and they're trying to get some air or calm down, when they've been sobbing really hard, or when they're in claustrophobic environments. The amazing thing about this thing we call the diaphragm, the skeletal muscle, though, is that it's an internal organ that you can voluntarily control, despite your spine or your heart or your pancreas, where you can't say, oh, I want to make my pancreas put out a little bit more insulin right now. I'm going to do that directly with my mind. You can't do that. You can do that by smelling a good donut or something, but you can't do it directly. You can move your diaphragm intentionally, right? You can do it anytime you want, and it's going to work in the background if you don't think about it. So this amazing pathway that goes from the brain to the diaphragm through what's called a frenetic nerve, PHRENIC, the frenetic nerve innervates the diaphragm. You can control it anytime you want. You can double your inhales or triple your inhales. You can exhale more than your inhales, whatever you want to do. It's such an amazing organ. And the physiological sigh is something that we do spontaneously. But when you feel stressed, you can do a double inhale, a long exhale. Now, I told you a minute ago that if you inhale more than you exhale, you're going to speed up the heart rate, which will promote more stress and activation. Now, I'm telling you to do a double inhale, one exhale, to take off your shoes. And the reason is that the double inhale, one exhale, which is a physiological sigh, takes advantage of the fact that when we do a double inhale, even if the second inhale you take in a little bit more air, because it's kind of hard to get two deep inhales back in, you take one deep inhale and then another little one that takes in the little sacs in your soles, the alveoli of the soles. Your soles are not just two big bags, but you have millions of little sacs throughout the soles that actually make the surface area of your soles as big as a tennis shoe. It's amazing if we spread it out. Those tend to fall out as we get stressed and carbon dioxide builds up in our bloodstream. And that's one of the reasons we feel agitated as well. And it makes us very agitated. I mean, there are other effects of carbon dioxide that I don't want to go into, but when you do the double inhale-exhale, the double inhale reinflates those little soul sacs. And then when you do the long exhale, that long exhale is now much more effective at ridding your body and blood flow of carbon dioxide, which relaxes you very quickly. My lab, in collaboration with the lab of David Spiegel, the Stanford Psychiatry Associate, is doing a study right now exploring how physiological sighs and other deliberately done breathing patterns can modulate the stress response and other things related to emotionality. Those works are continuing. I want to be clear, those studies are not finished, but it's very clear from the work in our labs, from the work in the lab of Jack Feldman and others that physiological sighs is the quickest way to eliminate this response in our body very quickly in real time. And so I'm excited to offer this tool to you because I think most people have heard that meditation is good. Exercise is good for us. We all need to get enough sleep, etc. But life happens, and when you find yourself in a position where you're more alert and activated than you'd like to be, regardless of whether the stress is stress-related or it's financial or it's physical or something like that, you can look at the physiological side because it throws off a very important function of how we function, which is that it's very difficult to control the mind with the mind, especially when we're in states of activation, when we're very alert or very sleepy. It's very difficult to use these mechanisms of intention and gratitude and all of these things that are really powerful tools when we're not super activated and stressed or we're not super tired. But when we're in a range of very alert and stressed to very sleepy, the physiological sides are a powerful way to bring our level of autonomic activation, meaning our level of alertness down. And so, no matter if you're online at banking or not, if you're using a mask today or not, whatever the conditions you're in and your needs, when you're feeling stressed, the physiological side done just 1 to 3 times. So that would be double inhale, exhale, double inhale, exhale, maybe just 2 times. Will bring your stress level down very, very quickly. And as far as I know, it's the fastest way to do it. So to sum it up, stress is a natural response of the body, but when it becomes excessive, it can affect our health and well-being. While we know that meditation, exercise, and good sleep help, we can't always apply them in times of high stress. Science has discovered a quick and effective tool to reduce stress in real time, the physiological sigh. It's a breathing technique that you can do at any time to calm the nervous system. It consists of 2 inhalations followed by prolonged exhalation, which helps to better oxygenate the lungs and reduce carbon dioxide in the blood. This sends signals to the brain to slow the heart rate and promote relaxation. Recent studies have shown that this technique is one of the fastest and most effective ways to reduce stress immediately without having to interrupt your daily activities. If you want to learn more about scientific tools to manage stress and improve your well-being, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. Don't forget to follow us for more content that can change your life.